Imagine your own parents driving away, leaving you in the middle of nowhere. No phone. No money. And calling it a joke. They thought I begged to be rescued. I never came back. The last words I heard before they drove off were, "Let's see if he can figure it out." And then they laughed like it was just another harmless joke. But it wasn't. Because when the dust settled, I was alone, no phone, no wallet, no clue where I even was. And they never came back. It happened the summer I turned 20. I wasn't in college. According to my dad, college was a waste of money for dreamers, and according to my mom, your brother needs it more. So instead, I was working part-time at a landscaping company, coming home to frozen dinners, and living in the shadow of my older brother, Cameron the golden child, the heir to the throne. We were headed to a family retreat in Arizona, something my mom pitched as a bonding trip, but I knew the real reason. Cameron had just landed some prestigious internship, and this was all a celebration for him. I was just baggage, extra weight in the backseat. 3 days into the trip, we stopped in some nowhere town in New Mexico. Gas station, a closed-down diner, and a single dusty bench with a broken leg. When we stopped, I got out to use the bathroom. No phone, I left it charging in the car. No wallet, it was in my duffel. That was it. I dozed off in the back of the van, cramped between luggage and one of Cameron's gym bags. I told them, "I'll be right back." Cameron smirked. My dad didn't even look at me. My mom was fixing her makeup in the visor mirror, staring. I think part of me believed they'd circle back, laughing, saying it was a prank. That's the last time I saw them. I was in the bathroom, maybe 5 minutes, maybe. Maybe they moved to the other side of the lot. He looked at me with a mix of pity and not my problem and handed over his flip phone. I walked around the building once, then twice, empty. My chest started tightening. When I stepped back outside, the van was gone. A single folded piece of paper taped to the pole near the pump. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Then I saw it. Figure it out. Genius.lol. Cameron, I just stood there, but they didn't. An hour passed. Then another, no cars from them. No text. I borrowed a phone from a trucker, told him I got separated from my family. I dialed my mom's number, straight to voicemail. I missed curfew, and I got grounded for a month. Called again. Then my dad. Then Cameron. Nothing. That cold realization sank into my bones. He nodded toward a diner about a mile down the road. Said, "They got a payphone too." I had a few crumpled dollars in my back pocket. Enough for toast and a glass of water. They weren't coming back. She just placed a full plate of scrambled eggs and said I should have cried, or screamed, or freaked out. But I didn't, because something strange happened. But truth was, I hadn't slept, hadn't eaten properly, and my head was spinning. When we pulled up outside the shelter, Curtis gave me $20. I tried to refuse, but he closed my hand around it. In that empty, sun-scorched moment, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt free, terrified, but free. My whole life, I'd been the family joke. Lost eyes, silent mouths. But one guy, Reed, was different. He worked there. Said he used to be one of them. Cameron got trophies. I got lectures. He's heading toward Flagstaff. He can drop you at a shelter there. Cameron crashed the car once, and my dad bought him a newer one. Every meal, every holiday, every day was about how perfect Cameron was, and how much of a disappointment I'd become. And now they'd left me like garbage in a parking lot. But I didn't call again. Instead, I asked that trucker if he knew of any place nearby somewhere I could get water, maybe food. I walked. My shoes, cheap sneakers I'd gotten from a clearance rack, were falling apart by the time I reached the diner. The woman behind the counter, Josie, must have seen the look on my face because she didn't charge me. I dreamed of something bigger than survival. Sit. Eat. Then tell me who left you behind. I did. Not everything, but enough. Josie disappeared into the back and returned with an older man in a denim jacket. This is Curtis, she said. I should have said no. Should have kept walking until I figured it out alone. Flagstaff was 4 hours away. I slept most of the drive. Not charity. Investment. The shelter was full of men who looked like ghosts. He handed me a phone and said, "You get 1 call. Make it count." I stared at that phone for a long time. Then I called Cameron. He picked up. I didn't let him speak. I didn't beg. I said, "You wanted to see if I could figure it out. I'm about to." Then I hung up, blocked his number, blocked every number I knew from home. Then I went to sleep in a cot in the corner of a building full of strangers. And for the first time in my life, I woke up the next morning to the sound of someone coughing hard in the bunk next to me, and the smell of burnt coffee. The shelter wasn't glamorous. It was cold, smelled like bleach and mildew, and I was given a half-deflated pillow that felt like it was filled with sawdust. But it was a roof, and for the first time, it wasn't my dad's roof. It wasn't their roof. I used half to buy a cheap prepaid phone at a corner store. He had a voice like sandpaper, and a way of looking at you like he'd already seen your worst day, and didn't he judge you for it? He pointed me toward a church kitchen that gave meals in exchange for cleaning dishes. The other half, toothbrush, socks, a bottle of water, and a used t-shirt from the donation bin out back. That $20 Curtis gave me, Reed the guy from the shelter, was the kind of man you don't forget. That was my first job in the real world, scraping half-eaten spaghetti off paper plates while some angry old priest shouted about the fallen generation. I didn't care. I had something I never had before: direction. I gave the name Zach when they asked. No last name. I wasn't ready to be that kid. Not yet. Within 2 weeks, I had a routine. Church kitchen in the morning, back to the shelter by noon, hit the local library for job boards, and free internet return, sleep, repeat. I didn't check my old email. Didn't call anyone, but the texts still came. My prepaid phone pinged constantly from unknown numbers. Where are you? We didn't mean it. This isn't funny anymore. Come home. Enough already. Stop being dramatic. Cameron says you're being selfish. I blocked every number one by one until the phone went silent. That silence. I told her the truth. My wallet was stolen, and I was in the process of replacing everything. Half-truth, maybe, but not a lie. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard. One day at the shelter, Reed slid a flyer across the table. A job fair. Mostly part-time positions: manual labor, housekeeping, food service. I circled kitchen assistant at a retirement home, not because of the money but because of what it meant. I wore the best thing I had: my cleanest shirt, borrowed boots, and a smile I practiced in the mirror. A mattress on the floor. One drawer. No decorations. The woman interviewing me, Marla, raised an eyebrow when I said I didn't have an ID yet. She looked at me for a long second and said, "Everyone deserves a first chance. You start tomorrow." Taught myself how to budget, how to open a bank account, how to apply for a duplicate birth certificate. That's how I got my first real paycheck. It wasn't much, but when I held that envelope in my hand, I nearly cried in the back room of the retirement home kitchen. I was doing it without them, without their money, without their pity, without their cruelty. He didn't ask questions, just handed me the forms, looked over my shoulder, and grunted when I spelled my last name wrong. 3 months in, I had my own room in a halfway house, but it was mine. My paychecks were going toward food, rent, and slowly, a savings envelope I kept hidden under a floorboard. $5 at a time, then $10, eventually $50. I started visiting the library every weekend. Reed helped me through it all. He became the closest thing I had to a father figure. And not once did he ever tell me I was worthless. One night after my shift, I passed by a bus stop downtown and saw a familiar face on a flyer stapled to the pole. Cameron. His smug smile staring back at me. Vote Cameron Holt, Young Conservative Leadership Panel nominee. He was running for some internship thing back in my home state. Claimed to be a leader. Claimed to stand for integrity, values, and hard work. It made me laugh so hard I doubled over in the street. That same week, I got a new message on my prepaid phone. Unknown number. You've made your point. Come home. Mom misses you. I stared at the screen. My manager left, and they offered me the job because you don't complain and you show up early. And for once, I replied, "Who is this?" The reply came instantly. Dad. I deleted the thread. Changed my number. Again. I wasn't making a point. I was making a life. By year 1, I'd become kitchen supervisor at the retirement home. That was apparently all it took. I started going by my real name again. Salvador Holt. Took me a while, but I wanted that name to mean something better than what they made it. Always wore oversized hoodies, always had headphones in, and always ordered the same thing: veggie omelet, extra toast. She was studying to be a vet. I was still working nights, saving money, helping read with the new guys at the shelter when I had time. I even got my ID back. Walked out of the DMV with that plastic card in my hand like it was a golden ticket. I didn't recognize the guy in the photo. He looked older, wiser, a little tired, maybe, but not broken. For my 21st birthday, Reed gave me a key. Not a gift, a literal key. A friend of mine owns a diner. They need someone steady. Told him about you. That's how I ended up at a place called Red Line Cafe, flipping pancakes and pouring coffee. And that's where I met Taylor. She was a regular. It took me 2 months to get her to laugh. 3 more before she finally asked for my name. 1 year later, we moved into a tiny 1-bedroom together. One night, Taylor came home holding a stack of letters. Envelopes with my name on them. My full name. They were at my clinic. The receptionist said some guy came by and asked her to pass them along. I didn't feel anything, really. I opened one. It was a letter from my mom. We made a mistake. Your father was wrong. Cameron was wrong. Please, just let us talk. I didn't finish reading it, because taped to the back of the envelope was something else. A folded photo from when I was 12. The one where we were all at the lake. Cameron had just pushed me in the water. I was crying. They were all laughing. They mailed me that moment, as if to remind me what I'd escaped. I walked outside, sat on the curb, and stared at the sky. I didn't cry, just certainty. They weren't trying to make peace. They were trying to reel me back in, and I was done being the bait. By the time I turned 24, I had stopped flinching when I heard someone shout my name across a room. I had stopped checking over my shoulder when walking home late from a shift. Taylor and I had a routine. Rent, ramen, late-night grocery runs, her leaving anatomy notes taped to the bathroom mirror, and me burning toast no matter what setting I used. It was quiet, stable, normal, and it was ours. I was still working at Red Line Cafe, now as assistant manager, and slowly taking online courses in culinary arts. Nothing fancy, just enough to start learning how to turn my job into a career. The idea of maybe opening my own place one day didn't feel like a joke anymore. Then one night, just another Thursday, Taylor was waiting for me at home, clutching a manila envelope. "This came to the clinic again," she said. "It's from your brother." I didn't even know how she knew it was Cameron until I saw the return address, a PO box in our hometown. The name on it, see. Holt, I know we messed up, but we're still family. Maybe just right back. I sat on the couch and stared at it for what felt like an hour. Inside was a letter. Hey man, I know you probably hate me, but things haven't been great back home. Dad's sick. Mom's been having panic attacks. There was more. A phone number. A picture of Mom in a hospital gown. A note written in someone else's handwriting. She asks about you every day. I wanted to believe it. Wanted to imagine my mother sitting in a hospital bed, thinking of the son she abandoned. But I'd learned too much. Pain doesn't make people better. It just makes them louder about the damage. I folded the letter carefully, placed it back in the envelope, and slid it into the trash. Taylor didn't say anything, just sat next to me and leaned her head on my shoulder. You okay? I nodded. I wasn't, but I was better than I used to be. 6 months later, I got a call from Reed. You got a minute? Left a note with my real name on it. Reed never said things like that. He was a straight shooter. I wanted to handle it myself. Turns out, someone had come by the shelter asking about me. Said he was an old friend. Described me from head to toe. It was Cameron. I didn't know how he'd found Reed. I still don't. Reed asked what I wanted to do. If I wanted a restraining order. If I wanted him to contact the police. A photo of him holding a baby with the caption, "Being an uncle changes you." I said no. That night, I went to the library, same one I used to job hunt in those early days, and logged in. Under a guest computer. How the family business had failed. How we were just trying to hold on to the house our kids grew up in. I looked them up. Everything. Cameron's social media was practically a circus. Inspirational quotes over shirtless gym selfies. Passive-aggressive captions about haters and fake people. As if they hadn't left me in a rest stop like trash they got tired of carrying. The baby wasn't mine. That much I knew. But it stung. That night, I created a new email. There was a GoFundMe link pinned at the top of his page. Help the Holtz save our home. It had a sob story about how medical bills were piling up. Our kids. As if I'd ever had a home there. I clicked on the donor list. One she'd been too afraid to even apply to until I made her. People from our hometown. Friends. Neighbors. Even my former high school science teacher. But not me. It was fancier than Red Line. Real brunch types. Avocado toast and mimosas. But I liked it. Real Holtz survivor at email.com. No name. No contact info. And I sent one line to Cameron's GoFundMe page. You left me to rot in another state. I built a life while you built excuses. Don't ever look for me again. The owner, a grumpy genius named Carl, said he liked how I didn't quit when the eggs were undercooked or when the espresso machine exploded. Then I closed the browser, walked to Redline, started my shift like nothing had happened. 2 years later, Taylor got accepted to a graduate program. Creaky stairs. But Taylor called it home the second we stepped inside. It was out of state. We packed up everything we owned, still not much, and drove to a new city. I got a job at a small breakfast place called Maple and Sons. More freedom, better pay. And after 6 months, I was offered a partner track. It was the first time someone in charge said they liked how I handled chaos. I married Taylor on a rainy April morning at the city courthouse. I had gotten home late and Taylor was already putting dinner in the oven. No guests. No vows. Firm. Familiar. I opened the door. Cameron. Just us. She wore a yellow dress. I wore a gray button-down that barely matched my slacks. Reed was the witness. He cried. Then he cussed because Taylor called him dad on accident and he didn't know how to react. We bought a fixer-upper 2-bedroom a year later. Cracked foundation. We painted the walls together. But I want you to know I think about you every day. That day at the rest stop, I told them not to. I cried the whole drive. That's not an excuse, but it's the truth. I don't know if this will reach you, but I hope it does. She hung up art. I built shelves. And one day, without meaning to, I realized I hadn't thought about my family in months. Until the knock. It was early evening. The sun had just started to set. A knock. Older. Heavier. Hair thinning. Holding a manila envelope. I didn't say anything. He didn't either. Just held the envelope out. Eyes glassy. Mouth tight. No smile. No smugness. I took the envelope. Closed the door. Taylor asked who it was. Nobody, I said. Inside was a letter. Not from him, from Mom. We're sorry. I don't expect you to forgive us. There was more. Too much, really. Pages and pages of apologies, regrets, confessions. I burned the letter in the sink. Not out of hate, but because some things don't belong in the future. Taylor never asked about it again. She didn't need to. She knew everything. That night, I took her hand. We sat on the back porch, watching the rain turn our yard into a lake. And I said something I never thought I'd say. I'm happy. And I meant it. I used to think healing meant forgetting. That moving on required pretending it never happened. But that's not true. Healing is remembering and choosing not to let it own you. I still remembered the rest stop, the silence, the panic, the 10 minutes it took to realize they were really gone, and the thousands of days after that where I proved they were wrong about me. Not once, but every single day. When our daughter was born, I stood outside the delivery room, holding her tiny fist in mine, and I felt it. The moment my old life split clean from the new. Her name's Lena June. She was 6 pounds, angry, perfect. Taylor cried the second she held her. I did too. And in that moment, I swore one thing. She'd never wonder if she mattered. Never question her worth. Never have to climb her way out of the emotional pit someone else dug. Lena was going to grow up in a house full of jokes, boundaries, pancakes, and apologies when people got it wrong. Because that's what I didn't get growing up, and what every kid deserves. We were happy. Simple. Peaceful. The kind of life that doesn't make headlines, but stays with you forever. Sunday grocery trips. Dinosaur chicken nuggets on repeat. Taylor reading Lena bedtime stories in silly voices. Me falling asleep on the couch with a baby bottle stuck under my back. Then one day 10 years to the week after I was left behind, I got a letter. A real one, stamped and sealed. From Cameron. No return address this time. Just 1 page. Typed. Sal, I know you probably threw the last one away. This will be short. Dad's dead. Mom's in a home. Early stage dementia. She still asks about you. I'm not writing to ask for anything. Not money. Not forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I remember what we did. That I was old enough to know better. And that I'm sorry. You didn't deserve it. I hope you're happy. See, I read it 3 times. Then put it in a drawer. Didn't burn it. Didn't respond. But not erased. Just placed it where it belonged. Years passed. Out of sight. Because forgiveness isn't always about letting them back in. Sometimes, it's just choosing peace over poison. Maple and Sons expanded into 2 more locations. I didn't become a millionaire or end up in Forbes. But I employed people. Taught younger cooks how to love the craft. Gave dishwashers their first raises. Created menus from scratch. We built a backyard garden. Lena grew tomatoes that put mine to shame. We bought an old minivan. Taylor named it the Wobble Wagon. Every Thursday was breakfast for dinner night. Every Sunday, we made pancakes with chocolate chips in the shape of letters. Lena turned 5. She asked me if I had a daddy. I froze. But Taylor, sitting across the table, reached for my hand, squeezed it, grounded me. I looked at Lena and said, I used to, but then I got a better job being yours. She smiled, took another bite of her pancake, and just like that, the world kept spinning. A year later, we got invited to speak at a youth center. Taylor had been volunteering there. and someone heard my story through a local paper. They asked if I'd talk about resilience.me, the kid who used to sleep in a shelter, the one who got left behind in Colorado like a forgotten suitcase. I stood in front of a room of teens and told them the truth. That family isn't who raises you, it's who sees you. That survival is messy, slow, and sometimes really boring. But it's worth it. Every scraped knuckle, every graveyard shift, every no you say to the people who once broke you. After a kid with blue hair and bitten fingernails came up and whispered, "My dad calls me a loser too, but I'm trying to leave." I gave them my number, told them the same thing Reed told me once. You don't have to become what they called you. You get to decide who you are now. Lena's 8 now. She makes friendship bracelets for everyone she meets. Our fridge is covered in her spelling tests and doodles. She thinks I'm funny even when I'm not. Taylor's teaching again. We take weekend trips when we can. The wobble wagon finally died, and we buried it with a commemorative sticker ceremony. Life is ordinary, which is exactly what I always wanted. Sometimes I still think about that rest stop. The silence. The sky so wide it could swallow you. And the version of me that walked out of that bathroom with no wallet, no phone, and no idea that his entire life had just changed. I want to tell him, you're going to be okay. Not because they come back, not because they say sorry, but because you keep going, because you choose to build something better. No way to get home, and calling it a joke. And one day, you're going to be somebody's safe place, even if no one ever was yours. Imagine your own parents driving away, leaving you in a different state. No phone, no wallet. That was the day my family left, and I decided I'd never go back.